They were poor, but they lived by their grandmother's teachings of love and kindness. They had no idea that this small act would change their lives forever. The rain gave the small town of Brookdale an even lonelier look than usual. The streets were flooded, the drains overflowed, and the already scattered houses seemed to retreat further and further into silence. For most people, rain was a reason to stay indoors. For Ethan and Mason, the 16-year-old boys in their thin coats and worn shoes, rain was just another path home, completely soaked. Ethan adjusted the strap of his torn backpack, which he had sewn by hand 2 years ago using his grandmother's sewing kit, and said, "Do you think Mom got home from work early today?" Mason replied, "Impossible. Nights at the cafe are always long. And Dad took an extra shift too." Neither of them complained. They never did. Their grandmother, the woman who raised them until her passing when they were 10, had taught them that love is a debt to be paid forward, not backward, and the boys lived by her calm wisdom. They helped others whenever they could and gave even when they had little. And though Brooke County didn't offer them much, it saw their light. Teachers praised them consistently, students loved them, and the elderly neighbors always said, "These boys, sparks that shine in a dull place." On that Tuesday in September, the day that would change their lives, they didn't feel like sparks. They were tired, hungry, and drenched after a long day volunteering at the community donation center. Mason said, "Do you think the coach will be mad that we skipped practice again today?" Ethan laughed and replied, "He'll get used to it. Besides, someone had to sort the canned goods." Mason shrugged, "I don't know. I just felt like I should help." Ethan laughed and nudged his brother gently, "And that's why you're the best partner I could ask for." They were in the middle of the forest path when a faint sound cut through the monotony of the rain. It was intermittent, like a call. "Help!" They froze in place. Ethan whispered, "Did you hear that?" Mason nodded, "Over there, near the slope." They ran toward the sound, slipping on wet leaves, until they reached a shallow ditch beside the path. There, lying on his side, with grocery bags scattered and broken eggs in the mud, was an elderly man. Ethan bent beside him. "Sir, can you hear me?" The man raised a trembling hand and said in a weak, broken voice, I fell." His breathing was shallow, his clothes soaked through. Mason quickly searched his bag. "Here's some water." He handed the bottle to the man, who drank slowly, coughing a little, then said, "Thank you. I'm Turner. William Turner." Ethan asked, "What happened, Mr. Turner?" The man replied, "Dizziness. I lost my balance." Mason said firmly, "I'll call an ambulance." The man shouted weakly but firmly, "No. Please. I don't want an ambulance. I can walk. Just help me stand." The boys exchanged a worried glance. Their grandmother's words echoed in their minds. "Do what's right, not what's easy." Ethan said calmly, "We won't leave you. Lean on me." Mason added, "And me too." Mr. Turner put his arm around their shoulders and stood with difficulty, his legs trembling as if losing strength every second. Gasping and pointing with his cane, he said, "This way. This path." They walked with him along the narrow, muddy trail, through tall grass and scattered puddles, until a rusty metal trailer appeared before them. It was leaning to one side, its windows covered with cardboard, the roof sagging, and the door barely holding. Ethan whispered in astonishment, "You live here?" The man froze before breaking his silence. And what he said next was the spark that would change the boys' future forever. Mr. Turner paused, his gaze shifting between the boys and the old trailer, then sighed, a voice full of memories. "Yes, I've lived here for many years, but not by choice. Life placed me here." There was silence, broken only by the rain tapping the tin roof. Ethan and Mason felt the cold, yet something in his eyes made them feel warmth and comfort despite the simplicity of their surroundings. Mason asked cautiously, "Why didn't you tell anyone about yourself, Mr. Turner?" The man smiled sadly, "Because very few people, only very few truly care. Most just pass by without seeing anyone." The boys looked at each other, then at him. They didn't think about poverty or fatigue. They only felt an inner urge to help him more. Ethan stepped forward confidently. "We'll help you. In more ways than just now. We won't leave you here alone." Mr. Turner smiled and began telling them stories about his old inventions, projects the world never valued, and his dream to create something that could change people's lives. As they listened, an idea sparked in Mason's mind. What if we help him achieve his dream? So the boys began working with Mr. Turner. They reorganized the trailer, collected materials from second-hand markets, and started a small project. The man taught them all his skills in electronics and mechanics. After months of hard work, they created a simple yet ingenious invention that caught the attention of a local investor. The small project grew into something bigger, a small factory providing jobs for the town, and restored Mr. Turner's respect in the community. On the day of the celebration, Ethan and Mason stood before everyone, smiles unshakable. Ethan said quietly, "All we did started with a drop of rain and a cry for help." Everyone laughed, but the old man, who had spoken little before, looked at them with eyes full of pride and said, "You didn't just save me from the rain. You saved my dream from being forgotten." From that moment on, rain in Brookdale was no longer a symbol of loneliness, but of opportunity, of hearts that know only giving, and of the small sparks that can light an entire life.